Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Tanya Day and this is the Orange County Historical Museum presents Indigenous Uses of Pine Needles. We are so glad that you are joining us here tonight, and we have a few more who are coming in at this time. Before we get any further, I would like to remind you that tonight is being recorded and a copy will be sent to your emails within the next 48 hours. And to that end, please be aware, because it is being recorded, that we do need you to keep your microphone and your video off at all times. We would really appreciate that. So again, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And thank you so much to our featured speaker, Vickie Jeffries, and our introducer, Beverly Payne, who you will both meet shortly. I'd also like to say thank you to the Orange County Arts Commission and the North Carolina Arts Council for their support of this program. So again, please remain muted with your videos off. And we also suggest that you put yourself on speaker view. That way the speaker, as they're sharing their presentation, will be the largest thing that you see on your screen. We will have time at the end for questions, so feel free to pop them into the chat box and we'll get to them at the end. And with that, I would like to introduce you to Beverly Payne. Beverly Payne sits on our museum board. We are so lucky to have her as a part of the museum, and she actually helped us with our feature special exhibit at this time. And I will turn it over to her. Beverly, are you with us?
I am with you.
Fantastic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beverly Payne. I'm a board member of the Orange County Historical Museum, a tribal member and tribal council member of the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation, Indian tribe. On behalf of both the museum and the tribe, we welcome you to tonight's event, Indigenous Uses of Pine Needles with Vickie Jeffries. Besides being a tribal member, tribal council member, and tribal administrator of the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation, Vickie is a self-taught basket weaver, beater, Indigenous herbalist. Vickie started her journey of using herbs by watching her mother use different recipes when her sisters or brothers had colds or other ailments. She is carrying on the tradition to her ancestors and hopes to pass it along to the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a creative and innovative artist, Vickie Jeffries, and Indigenous Uses of Pine Needles. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name, as Beverly said, my name is Vickie Jeffries, and we're going to go through the many uses for pine needles. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did putting everything together. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is, of course, Vickie Jeffries. I'm known by Vickie Jeffries, but in my language, my name is Mihe Heananhes Yatse and Omi Kalese Wa Occaneechi Watakai Watima Graham, North Carolina. What I said, my name is Woman Who Stands Tall, and I'm Occaneechi, and I live in Graham, North Carolina. Usually, what we do is that when we we run all day long and going places and things like that. So it's always good to sort of like just kind of relax and bring yourself back down and kind of get to that point where you can just relax. So what I put up today is just a little thing that you can read over, and you can read it quietly to yourself, and how it will sort of like ground you and and help you kind of come into the moment, for that. So it's all about walking in beauty and feeling good about yourself. And so we can just take a moment, if you like, just to go ahead and just read over that, if you like. And it's all about walking in beauty. Okay. So pine tree, Otowaste, and it means pine tree. So it's Otowaste, and that means pine tree. I'm having a little bit trouble. Give me one second. Okay. So sorry about this. My cursor keeps going where it wants to go. Okay, so an interesting fact about pine trees, it was one of the indigenous people's most important medicines. We actually made chewing gum from the pine resin, which was soothing for sore throats, and pine needles were crushed and made into a paste for a headache poultice. The bark was also used as a poultice for such things as wounds, burns, ulcers, and hemorrhoids. The needles were ignited and the fumes were inhaled to relieve back pain. And this is another interesting fact. The pine tree is North Carolina's state tree. The toast, also known as the Tar Heel toast begins, is "Here's to the land of the long leaf pine," which on the tribal grounds is actually the short leaf pine, and a reference to what many were taught to be the state tree of North Carolina. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but pine trees' needles contain more vitamin C than fresh orange juice. So can you imagine that a pine tree's needles, they have more vitamin C than fresh orange juice, because the herbs, they hold so many different vitamins in them that it's just amazing. So vitamin C, we all know, works as an antioxidant and an immune system booster. And it also improves the cardiovascular system as well as skin and eye health. And pine needle tea is also rich in vitamin A and antioxidant beta carotene, which is important for vision, especially like in low light situations. It's good for your hair. I make a hair oil out of it, and it's good for your skin regeneration and the production when you drink the tea for red blood cells. And it actually has a very pleasant smell and taste, and it is known to lessen fatigue and to improve your mental clarity. And I don't know if anyone knew this, when they talk about a Douglas fir tree, it's really not a fir tree, it's a pine tree. So I don't know how many people knew that, because at one point I thought it was a fir tree, but it's actually not, it is a pine tree. And pine needles, they come in clusters. If you ever looked at a pine tree, you'll see that there's like 1 to 6, and most of them are found in 2 to 5 clusters. And they have like a papery sheath at the base as well as an attached pine cone. So when we talk about the baskets, you'll see how we use those to make the baskets and what we have to remove from that. But pine cones can also, if you're have a project or anything, and if you take the pine cones and actually boil them in hot water, you know how they're all like out and like sticking out. But if you boil them in hot water and take them out, it kind of just goes like, puts them all together. So you don't have them sticking out. It's just smooth, just one thing. You should try it. It's really nice to see. You can adorn them on, like make a wreath or put them as a basket top or do so many different things with the pine cone. And with the pine, the inner bark, this what contains the more resin, and it's more astringent than the needles are. And it's been used by indigenous people as an antimicrobial wash or poultice, and it's often infused in bath water for muscle aches and pains. So you can actually boil this and put it in your bath water. You can also make a hair rinse too. So it's good for a lot of different things. Now the pine tops, the fresh needles and buds, they're picked in the springtime and they call pine tops. And they're boiled in water. And this tea is consumed for fevers, coughs, and colds. And the needles are also diuretic and it helps to increase your urination. So you think about when you walk and you see, pine needles on the ground, or you see the pine cones on the ground, you're looking at medicine that's just laying there. And like that's falling from the tree, and it's just amazing. And also, it can be used as mulch. It can also be used as mulch. There is a tea, and it's one of the most important historical medicines of the rural southeastern United States, especially given that the abundance of the pine in the region. So when you make, it's called a mighty pine tea. And this is actually the directions to make this mighty pine tea. And if you can capture it later through the recording, but if you don't have catnip, that's okay. But when you make the tea, it is mighty pine, and it is when you put the peppermint in it, it gives it that extra boost, that extra flavor of it. And with all teas, with this tea, you just like let it cover and steep for like about 20 minutes, because with other teas it's 3 to 5, but with this tea, to make this tea, is usually 20 minutes. And you can add honey if desired, or you can just drink it as it is. You can sip on the tea while it's hot, which is the best way to drink this tea. And if you make enough of it, you can reheat it each day as needed throughout the day. But it really helps with, like a lot of colds, congestion, everything. And adults can actually drink up to 3 cups a day. And if you make it, you can put it in a mason jar or a jar and put it in the refrigerator and just heat it up and drink it as that. And any teas that you make from pine needles are useful, are great for easing arthritis. And pine baths can help reduce skin irritation as well as anxiety. And you might think, well, how can it help with anxiety? Because the fumes from it are so relaxing, and that when you're sitting there, it starts to relax. And what you do is that you boil it and then you strain it. And this is how you use it. And it helps with arthritis. And I drink it often because I have OA in one of my knees. And but it helps, it really does help a lot. It does. Now I know that everybody is wondering, how do you make pine needle tea? So you can actually collect the pine needles, and they're best collected in the spring. But if you get pine needles, just make sure that when you get them, just get them off the tree while they're green, and of course wash them, and then you would put them in hot water and just let them stay there for 10 to 15 minutes. And the thing about gathering the pine needles is that whenever we take from like the tree is giving us something, we give something back to it. So you can sing a song, you can leave some tobacco, or you could do things like that, because it's just in honor of respect, because we feel that all plants, all living things have a spirit, and it's just that respect that you give them. But it's really good. If you want to put a little lemon in it, you can, that's fine. But the pine needle tea really, really does help, and it has a lot of vitamins in it. Now, this is the really relaxing bath because you can take some fresh pine twigs and 2 pints of water for about 30 minutes. So you're going to soak those, and then you're going to bring them to a boil and simmer for like 10 minutes. And then you strain and you add to your bath water. And it's these things are all around you, and they're so useful for you. You can just go out and forage and get all this medicine. And the other thing, if you're ever near a cedar tree, the cedar tree will take down inflammation. So if you're ever near a cedar tree, I'm just throwing that in there, you can, of course, give an offering, but you can cut some of the branches and you can actually boil that and put it in your bath water. So if you're having any type of inflammation or anything like that, you can use the cedar, the twigs from the cedar tree too. It's a very powerful medicine. It's one of our most powerful medicines. And it's often used when people have cancer by healers, and they actually bathe a person and with the cedar, and then they take it and they kind of go over the person's back. And one healer said that she did that and she massaged, and she can actually feel where hurting the most and massage even further to take down the pain. So so there you go. You've got like pine needles and cedar, that two things that you can actually forage for that in your backyard. Now, I do a pine needle tincture, and this is another recipe for it. You can use vodka. Um, my mother used to make stuff, and she might take a little swig of whatever the vodka or whatever she was using. I don't do that. Um, but a tincture, you have to really just, you have to put, you have to keep it, you have to like shake it daily and until that it does the mixture. But what you do is you make sure that when you use the vodka, it's covering the pine needles. So, and you kind of shake that like daily. And then it takes about 6 weeks. And after the 6 weeks, you can strain the liquid. And you can get like a little dropper bottle, and you can take 5 to 15 drops a day for an extra vitamin C boost. And it lasts for a while, but it's really good because you have to, the more you shake it, you release the oils from the needles, and just those couple of drops, and it's very, very potent. And it's just nice to make. If you don't have like a sunny place to put it, you can sit it in, like outside or something, sit it in your window or something like that. But it works marvelous. It really does. Now, I know everybody probably love soap, homemade soap, and you can actually make soap from pine needles. And it's really has a great smell to it. You can get the pine essential oil, and you can take your pine needles and you can actually crush them up and put them into the soap. I use the melt and pour, and it's when you're in the shower, in the bath, and once those oils are released and the pine comes out, it's sort of like you're in the woods somewhere. And it's just it just feels so good, and the smell, and it's very easy to make. And once again, you can capture these recipes from the recording. And this is just a continuation of that, because you can do the fresh chopped pine needles for a bit of color and texture. And also it kind of helps with exfoliating your skin too. And I don't know if anybody knew that you can make a pine needle cleaner. You can make a tea with the pine needles. You're just going to make the tea like you normally do. Don't put any sugar in it. And strain, and you'll use the liquid to spray on your countertops or your floors to clean them. And it leaves a really fresh pine scent, because a lot of the things that we use now have like all this other like harsh smelling things in them. And, you know, like if it's got Clorox or something mixed with it, you can always smell it. But with the pine needle cleaner, it just smells so good, and it does last for a time where it just doesn't go away. You can still smell it. And this is did you know that pine sol was originally made this way? And this is how they made pine sol. And there's another thing you can do. You can make your own incense. You can grind up the pine needles and place a small amount in a fireproof bowl. And then you just light the needles, and the scent from this is great. It is just like you can just smell like you are out in the woods somewhere. But they, you know, they can do this. They can you can make your own pine incense, which is like just great. And once again, you're just foraging, and this is something that you don't have to buy, that is all around you, and you can use all of these. Excuse me for a moment. And you just enjoy the scent of them. It's great. You can also use pine needles as fire starters. They make a great fire starter. You can place a handful of the needles in a muffin paper, and then you add some melted wax. And if you put it in an old muffin tin first, it works well. Once the wax hardens, you place it in a large jar. And then to use, you build your fire as you normally would, but then you put a fire starter under the sticks, and you light it, and the flames come to life. And I've tried this, and it works beautifully. But it's just using, you know, like just a minimal amount of materials and to make your fire starters, because I know that when I looked in the store about fire starters, they cost quite a bit, but this is where you can just make your own, and you can have them on hand for whenever you need them. Oh, I know everybody's been waiting for this about pine needle baskets. Pine needles can be used for baskets, you know, and when you start to make your pine needle baskets, you have to think about if your pine needles are long, or are they short? Because if they're short, you have to what they call feed the head more when you're making your baskets. And when they're longer, you don't have to do that as often. So you can soak them in warm water to make them pliable. When you're getting your pine needles, you first have to clean them. You will put them in some soapy water and then wash them off to get anything that was left on them. And then I spread out a towel. And then when I spread out the towel, I put the pine needles on there, and I pick out the ones that are broken or ones that are too short that I won't be able to use. And then, and this, you know, just put them in a pile, and these are the ones you're going to use. Because a lot of Native American tribes use pine needles in basketry. And if you go back, you can see so many of them that were used and how the baskets were constructed. And this is just by using the pine needles and using sinew to sew them together. These are types of pine needle baskets. A pine needle is the leaf off the pine tree. And what the type of craft that we use is called coiling. It is one of the oldest forms of basket weaving in the world. And that's where you start at your base, and then you have to, you know, you start with a circle. You have to keep going around. You have to keep adding pine needles. The first one is where, you know, it's like a lot of pine needles, and you just actually keep going around and adding them and sewing around with your sinew. You can also do this type. The second one is where they've actually added some twigs in there, and just did like a calling effect with the sinew around them, and it just keeps going around in a circle, and your base is as big as you want your pine needle to be. The third one is the same way, but it's just a different shape, and this is basically the shapes that were used. It was used to carry food. It was used when they went out into the forest to get different things, and just by using everything that was there available for them. Now, these are some of the pine needle baskets and earrings that I make. And if you look at the inner of the baskets, that is the hardest part to make when you're doing a basket. It is you have to really coil that around. You have to make sure your needles are wet and pliable. And it is just the hardest part. But once you get your base done, which is the center, you can make it as large as you want. And then as you go around, if you want a flat basket, you just keep going around flat. But if you want to build your sides like the top one, you have to start laying the pine needles on top of one another and doing your circular. So, and you just kind of keep going. If you want to make that smaller, you would just keep going in and in. And the second one, I just kind of made it kind of open. The pine needle earrings are basically the same thing. You just start with that center and you get a couple of pine needles and you keep going around until you get your design. And you're never sure what your design is because basket weavers really don't have a design in mind. It's just whatever it turns out to be and how you're pleased with it. So we don't start with a design actually, and it's just how your basket turns out. But it's a very calming, relaxing thing to do. It is, I forget sometimes when I say, oh, I'm just going to do a couple more. And then I know it's like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and I just keep doing it. But as I said, they have a spirit, so you respect them. And when I'm working on something, I put a cloth over it, and then in the morning I take it off, and it's sort of like I'm starting new or I'm finishing it. And a lot of people say, how long does it take you to make a basket? It takes as long as I need to. It's not rushed. You don't hurry to do it. And this is the respect that you give all the materials that you're working with. These two baskets are made with raffia, and the earrings that's a wax cord that I use. And what you need to make a pine needle basket is you need your pine needles, short or long. You need raffia or sinew, which is deer tendon. You need a very blunt needle because if you get a needle that has like a point on it as you're weaving, you don't want that needle to get stuck in your finger. And also your water. You would need your water to soften up your pine needles. Once you put them in and they're soft, you can actually take them out. But if you notice that they get dry, you just kind of put some more water on them so they stay pliable for you. And the baskets can make any size. You can make small ones, you can make large ones. You can make any size that you want. It doesn't matter if you have the patience to continue to work on it. Large ones take a really long time, lots of pine needles and lots of patience. And but the end product is so pretty. And normally when I'm done with a basket, I smudge and I thank all the materials that I used, and just to be able to work with those materials, and it's just a way of honoring what I've done. So I hope you've enjoyed being in the world of pine needles. The Creator has gifted us with a wonderful friend that is healing and soothing. And if you have any questions, you can actually email me at vickiejeffries@yahoo.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Or if you're working on a basket and you need some guidance on it or anything like that, or any type of herbs or any type of craft that I do, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you out. That
was fantastic. Thank you so much, Vickie. And we do have first, I want to say again, thank you for being here and sharing this with us. I think what strikes me the most, and you said this quite early on in your presentation, is the idea that this is all around us, especially here in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And you can't escape it. So why not use it? Why not embrace it?
Definitely.
And we have quite a few questions. So I'd
Okay.
like to start with some of the questions we've had coming in that have to do with the tea.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that it's best to collect in the spring with the fresh green.
Mhm.
How would you go about drying those needles before you boil them, or is it okay to boil them green?
No, you can boil them green. You would boil them green because once they fall to the ground, they turn brown. And so you want to boil them while they're green. And that's with anything like say rosemary too. If you make a rosemary tea, you want to make sure that they're green. And you just, you boil them and you let them steep and then you can strain them. If you have like Tavana makes a beautiful strainer that you can put everything in there and just pour your hot water over it. And I have two of those. And it's really nice to put your herbs in there and just let it steep because you can actually, if you're just doing a cup, you can actually put it over your cup and it just strains into there. So it's really nice to get those.
And that sounds really easy as well.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And you mentioned the pine needle top. So do
Mhm.
you mean just the green shoot and not the little piece that connects?
Yeah, the green shoot. If you ever now, I want everybody to go look at a pine needle tree and
Yeah.
see all
I
this
wish we could
stuff,
do
and you'll see what
present.
I'm talking about. Because I think probably when you see pine needle trees or any tree, you don't really pay attention to those little details that are on there. And it's so nice to see that, when you look at it, look closely at it, and you say, "Oh, I never noticed." Was there before, and and this what we did. We indigenous people looked at everything. It just wasn't the pine needles, it was just everything, and they used everything. And but you can, I mean, it's like a wonderful, wonderful tree. I mean, even using the resin, what we used to do, just to chew that, for sore throats. Who knew?
Well, and I feel like, there's so much hidden knowledge like that, but it's not truly hidden, is that people haven't taken the time to explore.
Right, right. You just kind of step over them, roll over the pine cones when you're driving because they kind of spread out into the street and things like that. Or you look underneath a tree where a whole bunch of them have fallen. And when I worked at UNC, I would be out there picking up the pine needles, and everybody came out and said, "What did you lose?" I go, "Nothing. I'm getting pine needles." And I mean, like every person that came out, I go, "No, I'm just getting pine needles." But they were just like, and then some people look past me and they go like, "What is she doing?" Because they had my bag on there, I was getting them, but it was like, I'm gonna make a basket. So I mean, they found it like, wow, you're gonna use that to make a basket? And I said, I certainly am.
You didn't lose anything, you were gaining something.
Yes, uh-huh.
As people are gathering their needles, and I mean, we're right at that season now, we're about to break spring. Are there
Mhm.
any parts of the tree people should avoid for toxicity?
Not that I have known. I have not heard of anything that was toxic on the tree.
Oh,
Mhm.
fantastic. So this is
Just
really,
don't eat the pine cones.
I mean, that wouldn't be pleasant anyways. Um, Somebody said it seems like they want to try this. They're they were they self-proclaim themselves as lazy in the chat, which I get it. I'm a lazy girl too. They said, is it possible to just make the teas with only the pine needles? Do you need the catnip? Do you need the pepper?
No, you don't. You don't. You can put some peppermint in. I mean, if you don't have any fresh peppermint, you can get it from Walmart. Just don't get the wilted looking one. Sometimes they have them in a pack. You can do that and just make it with the peppermint. And if you don't have something, you can always substitute something else if you don't have the catnip and things like that. So you can put like peppermint in there. And it's just a flavor enhancer. I mean, and the peppermint has, it helps with your stomach and digestion issues and different things. So, you're getting like a double whammy actually.
Yeah. And several people asked along the lines of which pine do you recommend, or just any pine in this area?
Yeah, I don't forage when they're like like say by like highways, like someplace where people might have sprayed or something, because people are always spraying things. Like I get mine's from the tribal grounds, the Occaneechi tribal grounds, because they're right there. But a lot of people have it, and if you're not using any type of pesticides like spraying, because if you see any type of herb you can use or plant along the highway, you know that they've sprayed, so you don't want to use anything like parks or things like that. But basically, if you have one in your backyard, it's great, and you can use that.
That's fantastic. Well,
Mhm.
moving on to the bath, somebody wanted a little bit of clarification on cedar and
Oh, okay.
which cedar that you were referring to.
Okay. The cedar tree is actually all around us, and you can actually get your branches from any cedar tree. I know there's different types, but the ones here, I'm not sure of the name, but of course I foraged from the tribal grounds. But it's basically just a bath, and you can actually, you boil that and you strain it and you put it in your bath water. We burn our cedar is one of our medicines that we do burn, and we make bundles out of it. And it really is that it's really used by healers, which I've talked to a couple of healers. And as I said, they explained where one lady had a tumor, and when she was massaging her back after she had the cedar bath, she didn't know why her hands felt as hot as they did. But then someone else explained to her that's where the pain was, but it takes down like the inflammation and the pain. And you can soak your feet in it if you have like, you got some foot pain or anything like that. You can actually, soak your feet in. I know the white cedar, you can make a tea out of it. And if you have like carry a lot of fluid, you can actually make a tea out of the white cedar, and it will actually make you go to the bathroom a lot. But that fluid, you can actually get rid of that fluid.
I like that really the whole theme of this presentation as well, as well as the fact that there are traditional uses for pine needles and such. There's a real theme of self-care with this. And I think that what is so lovely is you've talked about this meditative mindset. These things take time, they take concentration, and in the end, you're putting back into your body kindness as well.
I mean, it's any herbs that like the herbs that you use, it's not just one thing that they will do. So when you use herbs, they do a lot of things. You get a lot of vitamins from that. I mean, you can go in your kitchen and make turmeric tea. If you have a lot of inflammation, you can make turmeric tea. So it's a lot of things that you can do. You can get fresh ginger, and this you can use out throughout the winter, the summer. You can take fresh ginger and some lemons, and you just chop that up, put it in a big old, I use mason jars, put it in a big old mason jar, and you can put honey in there, but I usually use like an organic sugar and put in there, not a lot, but you can let that in your refrigerator and you just, let it sit for a little bit. You can take a glass of that a day, and it's such a good tonic. And the other thing is that once you get like halfway that you've gotten like say drink halfway, you can pour more water in it and it still continues to make, so you can use it like twice. But it's a good overall good tonic, that ginger and lemons, and it tastes great. It really has a great taste.
I was gonna say it sounds pretty tasty.
It is. It's man, my daughter drinks it up before I can get any.
Well, I would like to move on to, and I'm very excited to try making some tea, but I think the most amazing thing, because I don't know how you have the coordination, are the baskets. And somebody actually asked just now in the chat, do you give lessons? Do you
I can. We were going to do that at the tribal grounds, but of course COVID hit, where we're going to have some hands-on experience in doing that, and to make baskets. And I had showed you earlier, let me see if I can do this again, that I had started. Can everybody see that? I guess. Can you see that? I had started a basket, and and it's just, takes a little time, but this is one that I started. And of course, you can see my pine needles sticking out of it.
Mm.
And it's wonderful to do this because, like, say, with everything that you go around when you're doing this, your mind is like kind of, I don't know, it's this relaxing thing where you're not thinking about anything, and your mind is off. I can have the TV on, I can have music playing, but my mind is right on that basket with every stitch that I'm doing. And after a while, you just feel your whole body being so relaxed, and just that movement, and just doing that and getting your pine needles and putting them in, and it's just like so fluid, and you're doing that. But I think anybody that would love to learn how to make the baskets would be, I mean, they will find the same thing that I do. Even when I'm beading, I say I'm only do one more line, and then forget that, I'm there. I'm just like, I continue to do it.
Post COVID, we're starting to get there. We're seeing the sun. If you do have any upcoming lessons that you are able to hold, where would people learn about them?
Well, right now we're not having anything at the tribal grounds because of that, but hopefully, maybe towards the spring or so, we might resume some activities, and basically they're held at the tribal grounds. And it's a nice thing too because they can go foraging for their pine needles, yeah,
There.
and to make their baskets. And so that's where it would be held. But we're just trying to, of course, COVID, and we're just trying to be safe for everybody. But that's where we would usually hold our activities. And we did before have an Indigenous Herbs 101, which
Yes.
was really nice. We made sure syrup out of the shagbark tree, did different teas and things like that, and everybody enjoyed that. And it was funny, they I should have bought waffles, but they drank my shagbark syrup, so, but it was just, saying, hey, Rosemary can do this can do this. So it was really nice to have, it's nice to have that hands-on experience. And then after the class, as I said, the center is the hardest thing to make. But after you get the center going, it's like you're done. You're just keep going. And that's the method that we use.
And tell us again about the raffia that you use to thread.
Yeah, yeah, this is the raffia. And it's actually, I use the raffia from Madagascar, and it's also plant-based. So you can use this, and I use sinew, the deer tendon,
Mm.
and it's more waxy, but I tend to use that a lot. But raffia can come in different colors. If you wanted to make like a different color, it comes in, all different colors. And you can also use, because it's the dyed raffia. I prefer to know, I prefer to use the just the natural color of it to go. But you can make, you can become really creative when you make your basket. It's so many different ways to do it. If you want like a different shape, you can do that. And if you want it round, if you want it whatever way you want, you can do it. And you can add different things. Sometimes I will add a bead to my baskets because that's my trademark. So if someone had it and they said, oh, it's just like a tiny bead that that it was made by me.
I like the little signature.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have, it seems like quite a few people who would be interested in finding out about these sessions if you did hold them. What is the best way for people to find out? Is there a website they can visit?
Yes, they can actually go to our website. And then we usually put things on there that we're having any type of activities or anything going on. They can actually go to our website. And we also have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that people can subscribe to. When I did the last one, I got a lot of people that wanted to subscribe to the newsletter, and it's a lot of information. If we're having something, whatever we're doing out at the tribal grounds, it's usually noted there. So that would be one way, and the website is the other way, and
And
our Facebook.
oh, and you do have the Facebook.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page.
And you're quite active on the Facebook page, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We try to like if we're having anything, we try to just kind of field it out to the community. You don't have to be a tribal member for these classes. And it's just sharing our culture and the knowledge of our ancestors. And it's nice to share for it coming from us, so that, you know, you learn the right way, and the respect for what you're doing, because, you know, no matter what you're working with, it's that respect. And, you know, we feel that everything has a spirit, and you treat it as such, you know what I mean? Like, you know, everything, you know, because we're all connected. You know, there's something that we're all connected, and this is how we show our respect. So when you're picking up something or foraging, just sing a song. You know, I'm not a great singer, but you know, I sing a song, and and I leave tobacco. I always have tobacco or sage or something with me, and I leave that. And it's, you know, it's just that way of respect, because I also do dream catchers, but I use vines from the trees, and I leave something. But I had an incident. I'd like to share some little stories where it was windy out at the tribal grounds, and I got out. It was so windy and it's cold. My hands were cold, and I got the vines, and then I forgot, oh, I got to put the tobacco down. And it was so cold. I was trying to open my thing, and I kept saying to the tree, all right, I'll come back later, and I'll give you, but then I got it. I got it. And I just couldn't leave without leaving the tobacco, even though my hands were freezing and I couldn't get the pouch open. But, you know, I figured, well, I took something from the tree, and no matter how cold my hands are, I'm going to have to leave something. So it's kind of instilled in you when you see something, when you do something like that, and you have that, you form that connectedness with that, you know. So whatever you're doing, you know you've given thanks to it, because they're giving to us, so we need to give something back, you know, to them.
And even just saying a few thank yous. And how would they say thank you in the Tutelo Saponi language if they wanted to
It's
thank?
biwa. It's, if you want to say thank you to one person, you know, like if I want to say thank you to you, it's biwa. But if you want to say thank you to everybody that's here, it's bilahuk. So it's B is for thank you, but hook on the end means to everyone. So you would say bilahuk. And yeah, to say thank you to everyone for being here. So it's bilahuk. Yeah. And we never say goodbye. We always say alewa. And that means we'll see you later. That we never say goodbye, because we always want to see you later.
I like that. And for those of you that were asking for the link, thank you so much. We've had some fabulous people popping the link, obsn.org, in the chat if you want to learn more and sign up for the tribal newsletter. And it's really interesting. I always enjoy reading it. And you have fantastic like history, as well as you have language lessons in there as well. So it's a lot of fun to read.
You would never guess who the editor is, would you?
On top of everything else.
But I enjoy it.
I wanted to share, you mentioned this idea that your baskets can be really any shape that it's sort of forming itself into. Mm-hmm. And we have quite a few baskets of yours on display here in the museum. And you have been an absolutely vital part of putting together, as well as Beverly Payne and some other tribal members in the area. At the Orange County Historical Museum right now, we're featuring a special exhibit titled Yesa, Journeys of the Occaneechi. And as part of this exhibit, we do have many of Vickie's items. And one item that we have is this fantastic basket. And you can see it is about the size of my head. And what's fascinating to me is that shape, because again, it has a very different shape. It is such a pliable material, which I think is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it takes a long time.
I can imagine. Well, we are coming to the end here. And so I did want to do a little bit of a wrap up. And of course, one final thank you to you and to everybody else. But I did mention again, this Yesa Journeys of the Occaneechi that we have here at the museum. And we are so thankful to every tribal member and every community member that's been a part of it and that has been enjoying it. And I think to us, the most important thing is that it has been so heartwarming to see the amount that people are learning. and this aha moment, because the biggest thing is you are alive and you are here, and you will continue to be here.
Right.
And we've really enjoyed having the exhibit up. Now, it will not be up for very much longer. The last day that you can come visit is Sunday, April 11th. And my colleague will pop our website in the chat for you if you'd like to visit. We are right now still doing timed ticket entries. We find it to be the safest. That's important to us. And of course, we do require you to wear masks. Only one group at a time comes in, so it's almost like you're getting a private tour of the museum. So if you're interested in seeing Yesa Journeys of the Occaneechi, please stop by at the latest Sunday, April 11th. We do have some other upcoming programs. Now, Vickie, you have the most important, I think, you are our very last Yesa program. So thank you for sending us out with that. But we do have some other upcoming programs. Our next upcoming program is actually the opening of our newest exhibit. We are currently crowdsourcing for it. It is called Date Night: Fashion, Food, Music, and Fun in Orange County in the 20th Century. So if you are from Orange County, or you spent time here, or your family did in the 20th century, and you went on any kind of date, good or bad, we would love to show your photographs. Just contact us through our website. Again, it's in the chat, www.orangehistorync.org. Oh, we have a question about a virtual tour. We do have some various videos up on our YouTube, but contact us. We will do individual virtual tours for you live. We love doing that. It's a lot of fun because we know that a lot of people who would like to come see the museum might not be able to physically get here. So we will absolutely do a virtual tour for you. We would love that. Just contact us through our website. So Biwa Vickie, Biwa Beverly, Biwa Hook, everybody. If you will get this recording in within 48 hours. If you make this tea, if you make the soap, if you're making the baskets, send us photos. And as Vickie said, she would love to help out. Her information are on those slides. We might not want to see the bath. If you make your bath, we don't need those photos, but everything else. And I would like to lastly turn it over to you, Vickie. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, it's just, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate everyone that is here tonight and attended the other Indigenous herbs. And just remember the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation. We're in Burlington, and it's just been wonderful for the museum to have our exhibit. And I was really glad that I could be a part of it. And it's just been really wonderful. And I appreciate everyone, but if you have questions or just need some guidance, or you want to start a basket, please just email me and I'll be more than happy to help out. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you and good night, everybody.